Welcome back to our live coverage to talk more on the 2020 National Assembly election, campaigning and how it's being impacted by COVID-19. We're joined on the phone with Dr. Mohammed AL-Hadad. Good morning, Dr. Mohammed.
Morning to you and to your viewers. Morning.
Unlike previous years, the 2020 National Assembly election is different as it is happening during a pandemic. To combat the spread of the virus, the government imposed restrictions on gatherings that affected candidates' traditional campaign headquarters and diwaniyas. What are the approaches taken by candidates to reach their voters?
Well, it depends. Yes. Yeah. I think it depends on who is the voter. By going back to the history of the election in Kuwait, we find that there were 6 forms of communication with the voters, depend on who are the voters. Like the various election we have, this municipal council in 1930, the voters were very minimal, almost 50% at that time, and it was easy to reach the 50% in order to convince them to pick 11 members of the municipal council in 1930. During the 1938, what we call the legislative council, there was also a very minimal voters that you need to reach, and from certain strata. Here we talk about the mercantile strata at that time. In 1961, which is the Constituent Assembly, started that time. Also, you need to reach certain people or certain voters or certain constituent, as it was 10 constituent at that time. In 1963, the first time we have the National Assembly in 1963, this was a different wall and a different voters, and we have to reach different people at the same time from different constituency. In 2012-13, during the National Assembly, when women entered the election arena, that time we need to reach a different sector of the society, the females, which means we need to approach in a different way that we used to approach before, in 1930 or 1938 or 1961 or 1963. In 1990, there was a national council, started in 1990 till 1992. That time there were elected people and appointed by a decree people, members, 25 being appointed and 50 being elected. So that time also we need to go for certain voters. At that time we have people who rejected this kind of assembly or national council, and then we don't need to go to them, we need to go to certain people who accept it. So here we think of who are the voters that we are going to go to. I think now the ball is different. Now the candidate approach the constituents through different means, not through what we call face-to-face relationship or face-to-face connections. Now they need to go to a different means, such as newspaper, magazine, radio and television. We think of road advertisement. We think of the social media platforms. We think of the visiting the candidate by the voters, or visiting the voter by the candidate. Also, what we call now, which is a new way of dealing with the voters, what we call the communication through direct message. You pick the phone and call the voters, or you send them private message, or again the publication, which is now very minimal comparing to the old way of doing how to approach the voters.
The pandemic did not affect the candidates only, but also the voters. In your opinion, how is the pandemic affecting voters?
I think a lack of face-to-face interaction with the candidate, because in a normal elections atmosphere, the election constitutes an opportunity to the voters to discuss general issues of concern to the country and to the citizen at the same time with the candidate face to face. But with the pandemic, it became very difficult to achieve this opportunity. Also, I would expect myself the rate of participation would be very low comparing to the normal time. It is another issue that will cast a shadow over the election, is the rate of participation in the election through voting. Certainly, some will hesitate to participate because of health concerns. A lot of people will be very much concerned with the level of health risk as a result of this participation.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mohammed AL-Hadad, for joining us.
Thank you.